What's going on, everyone? This is your guys. We are here. We are with the StreamPunk first Eagles postseason game. And right off the bat, I am here with my man Swerve. Swerve, big time Eagles win in Dallas. And you know what? For the first time, I looked at this Eagles win. Up until this point, I looked at them. They beat up a the bottom feeders of this league. But this to me was a convincing win because Dallas had Michael Parsons back, and I was legitimately want to see how Jalen Hurts was going to make his adjustments. And boy, did he. He had only one pick early, but after that, it was smooth sailing. What's your take on Jalen Hurts to start this game?
So the offensive line played like crap in the first quarter. The first 2 or 3 possessions, the offensive line was horrible. My issue, that was my main issue, but I also knew that they were going to force the ball to Goddard on that pick. Like I was watching the game and I said to the people around me, I said it's either going to be a Saquon handoff, and then they're going to force the ball to Goddard, or they're going to try to force the ball to Goddard, and if it isn't successful, they're going to run the ball with Saquon. It was a little predictable, but overall, the offensive line played like trash in the first quarter. Um, was it Bland? Not Bland. Diggs made a great play on that interception. If Hurts could have laid it out a little further, it would have been a touchdown. But overall, I'm happy. I'm happy. It's been 5 weeks in a row we've gotten really good quarterback play. Um, they did what I expected them to do. They got off to a slower start than expected, but overall, I'm happy with how everything worked out.
Yeah, and you have to be. You have to be happy. Just the way that, for me, the way that Jalen Hurts just extended plays today. And again, if he couldn't do it with his legs, he was doing it with his arm. And now, like with the ball security, I know a lot of guys were getting upset because he was holding the ball too long. He was, you know, uh, just being over cautious with the ball, and I'm fine with that. I saw that was a little bit of Trey of Carson Wentz, but you know what? I'd rather him be locked down. Just not make a bad decision. He only made one bad decision, like you said, with Jalen with Goddard. But then again, it's been a little while since those two have kind of gelled. But look, ultimately, he was really good with the rock. He spread it around. A.J. Brown was huge, only 5 catches, 108 yards. Again, Saquon Barkley get a little bruised up, but he did what he had to do. He just, again, like we talked this morning, just took big gouges and gouges out of this Cowboys defense, and he looks so good playing for the team that he loves. And listen, there's nothing right now that the defense, the Cowboys defense could have done tonight to try and stop them.
No, they didn't have a chance. The only way you lose that game is if they beat themselves. Um, the defense played. They were fire. Like 5 turnovers. 5 turnovers. Anytime you get 5 turnovers, your defense is obviously playing well. But I mean, two of them were unforced. The play on Trey Lance. I'm sorry. The Ferguson play when Trey Lance dumped it off to Ferguson. That's a great defensive play, no matter who you're playing. Like that was just a great defensive play. Even Bryce Huff showed up a little bit today. So anytime Bryce Huff is showing up and flushing quarterbacks out and making them run, the defense is playing outstanding. I have no complaints about the defense. They showed up and did everything that they were expected to do and everything that they were supposed to.
And that's right. Like the defense was there today. I mean, only 2 sacks, but I mean, a Brandon Huff to sack that came out of nowhere. And Jalen Carter kind of getting there. Brandon Graham getting in there. Again, the defense. What I love about the Vic Fangio defense, he'll set up like in a 5-2. He'll sign up into a nickel package. He'll sign up in the 4-3 packages. Then he'll do the drop backs. He'll disguise his secondary. And it calls like Cooper Rush to have like a tough time with the rock today. And I get it, like Cooper Rush, obviously didn't have not getting the starting reps, but like him dealing with that Eagles secondary and defense was tough for him today. was really a long day at the beach, and really there is no excuses for him. He knows the Cowboys playbook. He knows in and out. He's no rookie. He's been around for 8 years, and he had a tough time moving the chains, against this Birds team. Tough time.
That's not it. Cooper Rush. Remember a few years back when Cooper, 2 or 3 years ago, people were saying, "Oh, Cooper Rush should be the starting quarterback." Cooper Rush. They were calling for Cooper Rush to replace Dak. So we're not going to use the Cooper Rush as the backup excuse now because just a few years back you were calling for the guy to replace Dak Prescott. So I don't want to
Right.
hear about Cooper. I don't want to hear about him being a backup. I don't want to hear about any of that. I think after watching this team for 10 weeks, Milton Williams doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Oh,
Milton Williams, he was huge today. He's been huge 5 or 6 weeks. Milton Williams has made a play or a tackle or eaten up a block or done something that doesn't go on the stat sheet. That when you look at, if you go back and watch the game, it's like Milton Williams is making another play. Milton Williams has made so many plays throughout this season, and I just want to shout to you, Milton Williams. I see what you're doing. People might not see what you're doing. People who don't know what you're doing won't give you the credit. But Milton Williams, you are making plays, and it's not going unnoticed by some of us big guys who played in the trenches.
Yeah, listen, causing fumbles again. How about the Birds today? Causing 5 turnovers today. Just doing it. Defense really coming up, making plays, reading where Cooper Rush went to go with the rock today, reading where Trey Lance went to go with the rock today. This was the Cowboys Super Bowl because they needed this win in the worst way, because this would say, listen, we can live the fight to see another day, or stick a knife in us, stick a fork in us, because our season's over. Yeah. And listen, they might as well wave the white flags now, because their season's done. It's over with. The Eagles buried it today. They have no reason to look forward into a NFC, even wildcard spot at this point, because it's so brutal for them. Now, I mean, like I said, this was a huge win for the Eagles. For me, I mean, on both sides of the ball, I mean, they completely dominated on defense. Again, how about the times where the Cowboys looked like they were going to get some points on the board, and the Eagles defense just stepped up in the red zone. And listen, only giving up 6 points today. Only 6. Only 2 field goals. Like, it's amazing. Like, there is no TD passes under the Cooper Rush, today. There was no running, they shut down the running game. It was really, really great. I mean, this was a huge win for the Eagles. Like I said, I wasn't sold on the Birds up until this point because, like I said, they beat up a bunch of bottom feeders. Last week was the Jacksonville Jaguars' last hope. That was their Super Bowl. You beat up a falling apart Cincinnati Bengals team. But today was a statement win. Even again, there's no Dak Prescott, but still you're playing against a quality backup, a guy who get the job done. Like you just said too, Swerve, they looked at Cooper Rush to take over the helm, and now they're probably scratching their heads going, not so much. Yeah, let's look at it. No, so again, to the Cowboy fans, I mean, I don't know where they were. I mean, at the beginning of the game, I saw some hype. I saw some chirping going on, but that candle went out pretty fast.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, going into the season, Pat, if you told me the Eagles would be 7-2 right now, I would be completely happy with that. Reason being is, and I know I haven't done this with you guys, you on your show and you guys, but I said this earlier. We have 2 new coordinators, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had 2 new coordinators, and then they didn't play at all in the preseason.
Right.
So I was treating the first month of the season as if it were the preseason, because I believe that as this roster is constructed, especially offensively, if you play 17 games, there's not going to be 12 teams more talented. There's not going to be more than 5 or 6 weeks when you have a team that's equally talented or more talented than the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hand me that Eagles roster and you give me a 17-week schedule with that talent, this in spite of coaching, they're an 11 or 12 win team. You understand? So, I'm not panicking. I didn't panic when they were 2-2. I didn't panic. We didn't have AJ Brown. You didn't have Devontae Smith for a week. Sirianni's a clown. I'm not even gonna say he's a clown. I'm gonna say he's a character. But at the end of the day, even I've seen bad coaches with talented rosters win.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
It's so whatever. It's funny to me because like everything you said is on point because like you said, the coaching and the players didn't really have time to gel. There was no preseason. Does that fall back on the Eagles? Absolutely. Because you can't blame the Eagles for kind of bubble wrapping their guys. But at the end of the day, like when you look at this team and the way they're currently constructed, to me now, I mean, I get it. The real test for this team for me will probably be Thursday against that Washington Commander team.
Thursday's going to be huge.
That's going to be the big one. That's going to be the tester for me. You still got the Lions, but really, when you look outside of that in the NFC, there's really no teams that really scare you. You rocked Green Bay on opening day. You took your foot off the pedal against the Falcons. Okay, a Bucs team that did their homework on you. That was about it. But you beat the Saints in New Orleans, and then you've been on a run all October. You've been on a run. I get it. They are bottom feeder teams. I get it. They are inferior opponents, but they are still NFL opponents at the end of the day. And you're taking care of these guys.
I look at it like this: like from week one. From the first 4 weeks, from before the bye week to where we are now, what team has improved the most in all the NFL?
The Birds.
Yeah. So I look at it like if Atlanta beat the Eagles and then 8 weeks, 9 weeks later they just lost to a Saints team and the Saints outplayed them. It wasn't like, oh, the Falcons had an off game. No, the Saints showed up and played ball today.
Yeah.
So if the Eagles, if this team that I've seen play today played Atlanta again, I think 7 out of 10 times this Eagles team beats the Falcons team that beat the Eagles in week 2. But the Falcons team I saw today doesn't stand a chance against this Eagles team. That played today. So, and then you look back and you say, who else did the Eagles lose to early? Tampa Bay.
And that's it.
Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay isn't a good football team. I think the Eagles were just unprepared and they got punched in the face. And that happens to every team at least once during the season. And even in that game, as bad as the Eagles played, they were on the 30 going in and could have made it a 1-possession game, and it was a turnover. So as bad as the Eagles played, that was their worst performance. They had the chance to cut it to a 1-possession game with plenty of time in the second half. I think if the Eagles team that played today played the Tampa team that beat the Eagles, that's a 9-point, 10-point. The Eagles -9 if it's at home.
Right.
Especially with no Chris Godwin's hurt. Get well soon, big fella, and Mike Evans down right now. It's no way that team, even without Godwin's not coming back this year. If the Eagles have to play Tampa in the playoffs, especially at home, the only team, and I don't want to talk playoffs and going forward because I like to do it week to week. But if we're speaking talent-wise and how well people are playing right now, the only team that I think would be the favorite against the Eagles And on a neutral site is the Detroit Lions.
And you're right. That's maybe the only team that scares me. I mean, when you again, the big difference from this year's Eagles team than last year's Eagles team. Like last year's Eagles team was they were winning. We all know the record. They were on fire, but they were squeezing by the bad teams. They were squeezing
Yes,
by until they ran up to the United. There was something not right there. I don't know if it was the Nick play calling. I don't know if it was the Brian Johnson playing, but the communication between player and coach was way off. And was
it was
something.
off. It was definitely off.
But when you, like you said, you sign up and look at this year, and listen, I thought he was a wackadoo once he shaved his head. I thought, okay, this guy he's lost it.
He's lost it. He lost it.
I think he might be talking to puppets in his closet or something. He's got friends elsewhere. He's shaving his head. All these he's finally coming out. It's pretty much saying I lost his locker room. Like all these theories are coming out in my mind, but no. The best thing that he did was shave his head and say, we are playing for each other. And you see this team, they are playing for one another. And I said this morning, Jalen Hurts has pieces. He not just has a wideout core that he can rely on, but now he's got a playmaker out of the backfield that all he does is eat. Yeah. And listen, when guilty by design, but he's playing for his childhood team and he's making the best of it. So I mean,
yeah. We're missing. I will argue now that Saquon's here, we're missing our third best offensive player right now with Lane not playing. Lane, when Lane comes back, like Fred, shout out to Fred. Fred's been playing outstanding, yes. Especially in the run game. He's been picking up. Oh, he made a block when he was pulling, and it's just like this guy is waiting for his opportunity. He's going out there and he's taking advantage of the opportunity and chances provided to him. Fred, you are playing outstanding ball, and you're not. I look at the bigs. Like when I go back and watch the game, I look at what the big fellas are doing, and Fred has been playing great. We knew you could run block. Your pass blocking has been better than advertised. You're doing a great job, Fred. Keep up the good work. Lane, we still want you back, but Fred's holding it down until you do come back. We're in good hands. Like even against Micah today, who honestly is still like he hasn't been healthy with the high ankle sprain, but Micah Parsons is still a premier pass rusher in the NFL. Like the Marvin Overshawn, he looked unblockable. And even coming out of A&M, we knew he was an athlete. Well, we knew he was an athlete. We knew he could rush the passer, but he showed flashes today, and it's like, sheesh, this kid is really, really tough. Like, the Cowboys pass rush isn't like, especially with Parsons. I know Lawrence is a big piece of that, but Overshawn and Parsons together are two really, really good pass rushers. And after the first 3 or 4 drives, the first quarter, the line got it together. And they kept them off of Jalen. Was Jalen holding the ball too long? Possibly, yes. But also, I'd rather you protect the ball and take the sack than throw an interception. But the Cowboys. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And you're absolutely right, because when I see again with Jalen Hurts, and again, he's not used to that offensive line. Wasn't used to a player of the Michael Parsons type. Someone who could play, who's dangerous, who's that dangerous. They weren't used. Again, they played against Jacksonville. They've been playing against the Giants, Bengals. They weren't used to someone out on the defensive side of the ball that can, who can make plays like that. So, and then look, it only took about a quarter and a half to then the Eagles made their adjustments. They said, all right, we're going to shut him down. We're going to make some plays. And listen, we know where he's coming at. We know, look, the Cowboys were coming up with blitzes. They were blitzing Jalen. Jalen was escaping the pocket. And you saw and then delivering. He saw the one-on-one with Dallas Goedert. Fine. He still got his man.
He stepped up and hit A.J. Brown at the end of the first half, too. And that was a big play. I think this, like, you know, this is what I hate about us as fans. Like, and I get caught up in it myself. It's either like I hate that it's you either love or hate Jalen Hurts, right? But that's what how we do everybody in the city. It's
Yes,
like you
yes,
love or hate Embiid, you love or hate Bryce, you love or hate Jalen Hurts, and it's stupid. I love Jalen Hurts. I'm Jalen Hurts' biggest fan, but I will say that last year he didn't seem comfortable, and he seemed like he made a lot of stupid decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even the pass to Dallas today gave me flashbacks of last year, where it's like, oh, that's a really bad throw that we didn't need to make because we still had another opportunity to score. That's the bone I pick with Jalen Hurts. It's not anything else. Like, he's stepping up from the pocket. He's a top five passer. He proved he can pass in the pocket this year. He's top five in the league passing from the pocket. This year, if you blitz him, he's making you pay. So he's picking up the blitz. I hate when people are like, Jalen Hurts can't read a defense. That's idiotic. And it's something that they heard on SportsCenter or one of those
Yeah,
shows 2 years
yeah.
ago, and they're just holding on to it. This kid is playing lights out football right now. The first month, he made a couple bad decisions. Like, there was a play against the Saints where uh, they ran a play, they were in the red zone. He threw an interception in the red zone, and it was like he hit the safety right in the chest, right? And first off, that play is an AJ Brown play. Number one, that play
Mm-hmm.
normally would have gone to AJ Brown because the receiver has to cross the safety's face. Jalen was thrown to a spot. And I don't want Smitty. I don't want Smitty crossing the safety's face
No.
and getting demolished. But I'm okay if it's Goddard or AJ Brown. So I think it was like play calling because I think you call that play in practice and it's in the AJ Brown play. And you get to that particular situation and there's no AJ Brown and you're like, oh, this is what we're gonna go with, blah blah blah, whatever. And then you realize like I got my 160-pound receiver
Yes, yes.
crossing a safety in between the safety and the linebacker. Smitty has to make a business decision.
Right.
Smitty has
Right.
to make a business decision. So there were several plays where we can look back and say, oh man, Jalen Hurts threw the ball. He was thrown to a spot and there was no AJ Brown. It was you had to get together and understand. Like I look at I'm talking sports. A few years ago, Jameis Winston got ridiculed for throwing 25 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back and watch that Jameis Winston season, 15 of those hit the receivers in his hand. 15 of those hit the receivers in their hand.
Right.
So it's like everybody says, oh, Jameis threw 25 interceptions. But in reality, 15 of those should have been catches.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at it like a guy with 30 touchdowns and 25 interceptions versus a guy with 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So Jalen has been played like the fumbles are his fault. Most of the times the fumbles are his fault because he's trying to do too much. But a lot of the interceptions, if you look at play calling and certain things, we can kind of blame it on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not giving Jalen a pass, but I'm saying I think that now that he has a more of an understanding about the offense, and then Kellen also understands now that I can't if AJ Brown ain't in the game. Well, Johnny Wilson showed up today. Johnny Wilson's a huge human being. If I'm going to call that type of play, maybe I should be calling it for a Goddard and AJ Brown and Johnny Wilson. I shouldn't be sending Smith across or Dotson across the front face of a safety to get cremated at the end of the day because that's what's going to happen. If he holds on to it, cool. But if he doesn't, now he got smashed. You don't get the points, and you risk a turnover and one of your best players being injured.
And it's funny you say though, like, you know, again, today's game, they dominate the Cowboys 34-6. Guys, if you're just tuning us, it's me, Swerve, here on the StreamPunk Entertainment Eagles postgame show. And like they dominate this team. And you know, again, this is all like you were just saying, you know, there are going to be the Jalen Hurts haters. Like it's a shame that this guy, like not everyone is yet on board with this guy. And maybe because they're still holding there are some people out there who just want to see this guy fail. And it's not just him, like you said, it's the superstars of Philadelphia. There are some guys they would just want to be right about saying this guy was a mistake. You mentioned about the Joel Embiid. You mentioned about the Bryce Harpers. Look, maybe about 5 years from now, they're going to be hoping for Mitchkoff to fail at some point. Like they just can't appreciate good, hardworking guys. And listen, I'm all on board. Until you put another jersey on, I'm behind you. And listen, it's going to be tough, critical. And I get myself caught up to it. I can be very, very critical of a player. But, you know, when they play bad, they're bad. You got to call that. But when they're playing great and they're extending plays, like Jalen Hurts is doing under center for the Philadelphia Eagles. So
Pat, let me ask you a question. I know this is off topic of the Eagles, but everybody wanted Andrew Wiggins.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody. So now let's look at from draft day to now. Everybody wanted Andrew Wiggins, and then they said, "Oh, let's get Jabari Parker," and we ended up with Embiid. From draft day to now, would you, if you go back from now to draft day, Jabari Parker, and if you had to pick, who would you take? Jabari Parker, Andrew Wiggins, or Joel Embiid?
Joel all day.
It's a no-brainer, right?
It's not a no-brainer. Joel Embiid, the things that Joel Embiid could do on the floor, a lot of guys can't. And listen, right now in the NFC, like and people might think I'm nuts, but like again, after he's steamrolling teams and he's showing you those glimpses of 22 Jalen Hurts, how can he not be on tier 1 right now? How can he not?
He has to be.
He's on tier 1 right now. He's in the conversations of the Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen, and people are going to say you're absolutely crazy. Am I?
No.
Look on the NFC side of the ball. What quarterback right now is better than Jalen right now?
Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. Right? They're the best 3 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah.
Best 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. But if you look at the NFC, Jared Goff is playing out of his mind. Like Jared Goff is playing out of his mind. But if you remove Jaden Daniels is playing really good football. And then there's Jalen Hurts. So if Jalen Hurts the last 5 weeks has been outstanding. Lamar Jackson is just on another planet. Lamar Jackson is on another planet right now. Like 9 weeks in, he won the MVP last year, and he's having a better season this year than he did last year. So, like when you look at quarterback play, especially over the last 5 weeks, if Hurts isn't in your top 5, you're just an all-out hater. And Mahomes has been struggling all year. The only reason Mahomes gets put in that top 5 is because we all know Mahomes will be Mahomes when the game is on the line. Like Mahomes is a guy where you know who Pat Mahomes is? He is, if you combine Eli and Peyton together and made him one Manning, that you get Pat Mahomes. And it's like Pat Mahomes is just cruising. If he needs to make a play, he's going to make a play. And then Lamar's just a freak athlete who's developing as a quarterback week by week. Every week Lamar gets better, it seems like. And that was the case last year. He had a really bad showing in the AFC Championship, and people are the Lamar haters. Lamar's another one. People are going to hate Lamar no matter what he does. Just like people hate Josh Allen. I think both of those kids get way more hate than they actually deserve.
Well,
Both of those kids are ultra talented and they make plays. And it's like, dude, they're two of the best at their job. Like they're two of the best at their job. Their problem is they keep running in the 15 to get to the Super Bowl. If they didn't have to run in the 15 to get to the Super Bowl, both of those guys would be Super Bowl winners.
well,
And then after
well,
that, go. I'm sorry.
no. It's funny because one looks at the Jim Kelly and Josh Allen will never be. And then you'll get, well, listen, Joe Flacco's won us a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, and you'll never be. So that's their haters. But look, we're up against it. But listen, Swerve, final thoughts about today's win, and where can the people find you on social media platforms?
Today's win is huge. The defense showed up, offense showed up. We got to get the guys some rest because it's a quick turnaround. We play the Commanders. Oh, I hate saying that Commanders. I would rather them just been the football team. But we play Washington on Thursday, and these guys get to rest up, and hopefully Saquon's rest as well. And we come out Thursday ready to go. The defense was firing on all cylinders. The offense was clicking. I am going to sleep a happy guy, and I can't wait to wear my Eagles gear to work tomorrow. Again, shout out to Milton Williams. Shout out to Fred. You guys played awesome today. I'm watching the trenches. Thanks to Pat for having me. You can find me on Because I Feel Like It. We are coming back soon. And Philly the podcast. Swerve Griffin on Facebook. Holla at me when you see me. I'm always out. I'm always around. And thank you guys for your support.
All right, listen, guys, that's my man Swerve. Give him a follow. Hit him up on Facebook. But guys, for me, big win for the Birds today. Of course, win 34-6 over the Cowboys. If you work with any slimy Cowboys fan at work, they're probably not going to talk to you. They're probably going to hide in a closet somewhere. They're probably going to call out sick all week long. But anyway, look, this was a mud hole stomping, and this was good signs for the Eagles. Even if they took advantage of a backup quarterback, there's no excuse. Cooper Rush has been he's a proven backup, and the Birds took full liberties on both sides of the ball. Again, the offense just making adjustments to Michael Parsons back there, and Jalen Hurts, again, ball security, doing his thing, reading the defense, is getting better with it, becoming an elite player. Extended plays with his arms, legs, reading everything that's coming at him. Again, QB1 looking like MV1 right now. So, guys, Tune in. We'll be live again this Thursday. Guys, stay tuned. All lacrosse, all the time. It's coming up next here at the 9 o'clock hour for all you lacrosse heads. Stay tuned with my man, Gary, Mike, and Sean. Guys, thank you, Swerve. Thank you so much. Guys, we'll be back.
Thank you for having me.
See you guys.